go to open homes as
like
well.
$1,000
cover, which is yung
ang maipapayo.
And what is the implication?
so with kaya nga
This thing and this thing, hindi talaga siya binahin fair. Kia ora, everyone, and welcome back to Home Buying Tips in New Zealand. And I'm Juby.
I'm Marianne. So we're so excited, everyone, for you to join us tonight again for another, of course, another very interesting topic. Me and Ate Juby were actually talking about it before we hit the live button. We've never really focused on this topic, no, Ate?
Kind of
Not
just
really like
not really.
Parang
We've been,
kahapyaw.
yes, we've been going live for more than a year already. Yay! Congratulations to us, our viewers, who are following us, of course. But yes, and that's why I've just recently wondered, like as a homeowner, or while I was actually looking for a home myself, I was asking, is this person really telling me everything I need to know? Do you get my point? Like, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight: the rights as a home buyer, and how can we navigate the real estate market with confidence. And actually, I've just heard this from you, that we have rights as a home buyer. Remember when I tap you
Yes.
to my house, and then you talk about these rights? To be honest, I didn't really hear that from others, or maybe I just forgot it and I just focus on you.
That's good. Maybe I made an impact.
Yeah, you did.
But yes, Ate, actually, this topic is very dear to me, especially when I was in real estate, because majority of the times, I think us Filipinos, Ate, we were brought up. I was just telling this to my current boss because I was with her this morning. She was shadowing me when I met my client. And the thing is, like, how I how I how I treat my clients, in say when I was a sales manager in a retail store and I became a real estate agent, to my vendors and to my buyers, and then today it was still the same service as I'm giving it to my business clients as well. And even her, she actually saw the, like the warmth, and then suddenly a quick connection with my clients, and then she was like, how do you do it? And the thing is, Ate, I am just so proud. I actually have to tell her that there is a negative and positive about Filipinos, how we were brought up to be a very good employees. Like, we are very good in serving, right? Do you notice that, Ate? We were kind of like, I don't know, even in yours, but when I was growing up, kind of like all of us in our culture, na parang we are being brought up to be very good, honest employees. And it's a positive in a way na we are actually 100% hardworking, in terms of being an employee. But then comparing us to, of course, say our friends, our Chinese friends, our Indian friends, who are very into focus on having their own business, and they were being brought up to be a business-minded kind of people. Do you notice that, Ate? And that's what I told my boss today.
Your boss in main freight?
Yeah, Freightways.
Right.
Yes. So my boss in Freightways, she is the reason why she was shadowing me today is because she just started being, because my previous boss, actually my boss who hired me, is moving to our Australian branch. And so someone has stepped up again, but she was from our leadership training manager. So she took on the role of being our sales manager, which is a national. But that's the thing. Like, I was just telling her how us Filipinos, we were kind of like, it's a positive and a negative in some kind of way. But
Yes,
right, Ate. And the thing is, when I was studying as real estate agent, it kind of hit me as well that it aligns with our values to become very good kind of people who give service, 100% service, full of love, and kind of something like that.
there's a pros and cons with the way we were trained growing up, especially our school system. And but for me personally, I would like to acknowledge the effort of my parents bringing me up,
Mm.
me, because they were the ones who would say that, hey, it's just a headache or just a mild fever, go to school. So you get what I mean? Even if you're slightly sick or weak, my parents told me not to skip school, and that raised the attitude of not missing work just because of mild sickness as well. Like I wasn't 100% well, but I still went to school this morning, and I still have mild colds and cough, but life must go on, work must go on, in other words. So that is an advantage to us Filipinos, and that's why we become more popular when it comes to getting employed, especially when they know, oh, that's a Filipino. Generally, especially those who are coming to New Zealand, a lot of employers who have experience working with with Filipinos, they have very good impression with the way, with our work ethics, in other words. But true, the disadvantage is we are more focused on becoming an employee, and we
Mm.
select the side of becoming an entrepreneur compared to Chinese
Yes.
and Indian people, which I greatly admire,
Yes, they are.
but
They're
if we can
really,
balance
really good.
everything, why not?
Yes, that's so true. And ate, in line with that, the reason why me and Ate Juvie are talking about something with work ethics and everything is because here in New Zealand, in home buying, you should also as consumers, so not just of course, like working and everything, but as consumers, you have, like, if you're buying, especially when you're buying a house, you have to know your protections, your rights as a consumer here in New Zealand. And it's not like in the Philippines when we're, like in here, it's you're more protected at it. There's so much in here that I actually, I that's what I was telling you. I was so into, like, I'm so passionate about this because I always wanted the person that I work with, either it's a vendor, the one who's selling their house, or it was a buyer. I am always loyal to them because I'm the one who's working with them. And so making sure that they understand their rights is very important, especially when you're buying a house.
But disclaimer, of course, we are not legal professionals. I'm a teacher. Marianne was, you're still a real
Former.
estate,
I
still,
had to held, I'm actually, I suspended my license, so I'm holding my license on hold. I'm keeping it on hold. Anytime I can go back, but at the moment I'm enjoying my weekends with my kids and my husband.
so this discussion is just based on general information and
Mhm.
our own experiences, especially Marianne, who has studied real
Real
estate.
estate.
And
Yes.
for specific advice, we greatly recommend you to seek a lawyer or
Yes. And a professional, of course, at it. So any advice, legal advice, of course, would be your lawyers.
lawyer. Yeah,
Professional advice in terms of
real.
real estate. So if they're buying a house or if you're working with a real estate agent, then I would suggest you talk to your real estate agent. But what I always tell my consumers, ate, kumaga walang mawawala kung ikaw ay madunong. So you
Madunong.
can, madunong is like marunong, like you're
Oh,
knowledgeable, because ate, like
yeah.
at the end of the day, some agents, I'm not saying that all, but there may be agents that may be withholding information. And
Mm.
if you're a consumer or you're a vendor who really knows, the law of New Zealand, if they try to withhold up an information from you, then you can actually go and say, "Hey, isn't that dodgy if you do that?"
Yeah. So
So
this discussion is gonna be very beneficial to everyone, even if you're not yet in your home buying journey, but you're planning to. It's best to have a lot of ideas, not just some, actually. So you're in the right place. And tonight, our simple goal is to just explain the key legal protections on how to handle disputes, the
mm,
essential understanding of contracts. So, are you ready? Feel free to engage with us, comments, or ask us questions about this topic. And let's jump in. The first one, Mary, I think you know this.
One is the consumer protections for home buyers. So let's talk about legal protection. So of course, as what Ate Juby said earlier, of course you would want to talk to your lawyer. But then at the end of the day, Fair Trading Act, you can actually search it on Google and you can see all the clauses in there that protects you as a consumer.
Fair Trading Act.
And this doesn't just apply to real estate as a whole, but in general, ate, Fair Trading Act covers and protects you from either buying a normal, I don't know, what kind of tuna, and or if you're a consumer, as long as you're a consumer, Fair Trading Act covers that whole general, protection to us as consumers. And with real estate, ate, I know that you're already thinking of a question, but with real estate, that also covers, of course, if I'm a real estate agent, let's just say, if I'm a real estate agent, I and you are my buyer, and then you went to me, and then you asked me, let's just say, you saw my marketing ad, and it says, like the best house in New Zealand and everything like that. So it's, like something very very puffer, like we call it puffery in in our marketing, and clearly it's not the best house. So you pretty
Yeah.
much, you felt like you were misled, and that is under the
Mm.
Fair Trading Act as well.
Ah, okay. Because I've spoken to many real estate agents when we were buying a house, and even up to now, because we're scouting for the next one. And once you approach a real estate agent, they speak so many things. And how will you be so sure that they've already mentioned that thing that later on you realize, oh, you thought it actually wasn't mentioned? And how can you protect
Mm.
yourself? Is it okay? I was thinking if you do a recording, maybe a voice record of what they're talking about, so that later on you can hold them accountable of their claims, or what?
So as I know, forgive me if I'm wrong, if there are lawyers who are watching right now, as I know, you, at first and foremost, you're not allowed to record a voice without the knowledge of the person that you are talking to. And so it cannot be used as a proof or an evidence on in court. So
Mhm.
in this case, in real estate, then it's going to be tribunal or something like that. But we also have a saying in real estate that if it's not written, it didn't happen. So
Ah.
pretty much everything should be written so that you've got proof. So if, let's just say, one example, ate, if I am the real estate agent, I was a salesperson, and then you communicated with me because you saw my listing, and then you asked me, hey, it says in your marketing ad that it has a consented, let's just say the toilet is consented, so there's two toilets,
Yeah.
and then yes, and it was on my marketing ad, and then when you went to view the house, I had to tell you that it's actually not consented, and then you're like, wait a minute, it's actually on your marketing ad, but
Yeah.
then I deleted it. So I already deleted it, so when you went back, then you can't do anything about it unless you screenshot it. So
Mm.
that was misleading. Another thing is that if I claimed that, let's just say, if I claimed that the building, let's just say, maybe the cladding. So
Mm.
if you don't do your own due diligence, you didn't, and you're buying in an auction, and then you choose not to have a building inspection, and then you pretty much, once the gavel hits the table, it's sold on to you, and then suddenly in a couple of months you've settled everything else, once everything transferred to your name, um and then suddenly you realize that, wait a minute, Mary Ann didn't tell me that the cladding is, I don't know, say fiber cement. I thought it's a weatherboard. Unless you've got a proof against me, then you can literally just go straight to the tribunal and say that you were misled by me. But then if you don't have any proof, if say I'm such a dodgy agent that I've already deleted everything,
Yeah.
and you didn't have any writing as well that I told you that yes, it's a weatherboard, but then it's actually a fiber cement. So you can't actually go up against me because you don't have any proof. So as long as you've got screenshots, you've got written
Yeah.
evidences, that's how you can, catch them or
So,
something.
so even text messages, because text messages cannot be deleted compared to Messenger, where a message can be deleted, right?
Yes.
So that can be approved. Say if
Yes,
you have a
that can be
conversation.
approved, ate. So keep on, especially with this kind of transactions, it's not just $2, $3 transaction, it's hundreds and thousands of dollars that you're
Millions,
transacting.
maybe.
Yeah, and even millions. So you'd rather want to be very, very careful every time you do a like having communication with your agent. And that's the reason why I would always suggest, I know that a lot of buyers think that they're saving money because they would want to involve the lawyer. And I know Miss Maricel would agree with me. Most of the buyers will only involve a lawyer once they've already put an offer, and then
Mm,
the offer got accepted, and then they have to find a lawyer, and then the lawyer is like suddenly see the contract and there's a lot of dodgy things in there that the buyer
mm.
didn't even realize because the agent didn't really explain it to them.
So it's really best to engage the lawyer as early as possible. But of course,
Yes.
that's gonna be an extra pay if you're going to
Mm.
use their time checking the contract and everything.
Yes.
But it will put you in the good side because they'll be able to see everything and even understand some terminologies that may not be common to not in layman's term, and it's quite hard
Yes.
for us to understand. That's so good. I mean,
That's
yeah,
so
that's so
true. And then another thing, Ate, I know that a lot of our kababayans, especially our kababayans, and not just our kababayans, actually even locals in here, they didn't really understand that having a buyer's agent is actually beneficial as well, because you'll have that relationship with your buyer's agent. That buyer's agent will kind of like, let's just say you've been hunting for a house for like almost a year, and you've
yeah.
known this agent for a whole year, so you know that this person is actually very honest with you. And so every time you see a house, you go to your buyer's agent, ask them, hey, let's just say it's an investment property. You ask your agent, and your agent is loyal to you now because you've got that
Mm,
relationship, and you ask her if what about the ROI, so the return of investment, what
mm.
is the ate, and at the end of the day, as long as you've got that trusted agent with you as your buyer's agent, I'm pretty sure they would be very, very honest with you. They can tell you that, hey, it's not really worth it, maybe let's look something else.
Question: who's going to pay the buyer's agent? Is it the buyer or the seller?
So this is really the question as well. Very good question, Ate. So a lot of real estate agent, we are bounded. We are actually by law, we have to be loyal to the vendors, because at the end of the day, you as a buyers, you don't pay us. It will
Mm.
be through the sales of the house. So it is the vendor who's paying the real estate vendor's agent, and so the vendor's agent will share that commission to the buyer's agent.
If, say, for example, I'm gonna tap you since you still have your license anyway, you just put it on hold. If I'm gonna tap you to be my agent and you'll be looking for a house for me, how will that go? Are you going to approach? I'm just thinking. Say, for example, the seller also has an agent, right? That's why they have their houses posted on marketplace,
Mhm.
or one roof. How will that? How will the process go if I tap you and then say I like this house or I like this house? I know. I'm just
I
wondering.
can I can definitely, like currently, ate, of course, because my license is on hold, that means I'm not under any branch manager. So my license is just a real estate salesperson. If I would be able to sell without being under a real estate agency, I have to have a higher license, which is a branch manager's license as well.
Oh,
Yeah, so I cannot. And definitely, of course, it's not just all about the money. I would want you to find a trusted buyer's agent. So what I do,
Mhm.
even though I don't get anything, I may be able to help you out. Like, hey, man, because some of my clients before, they know that I have left real estate for now temporarily. So what they do is that they send an address that they're looking into putting an offer, and then they ask me, how much do you think this is worth? And then I kind of like look at it. Sometimes I
Yeah.
even drive by in there, even though I'm not the agent. I'm not an agent anymore. And then I will research, and then I'll be like, actually, it's actually quite good. Maybe for me, it's not worth this much, but try putting an offer to this much. And then at
Mm.
least you've got a wiggle room to negotiate. So I kind of give those kind of advice. But at the end of the day, I don't get anything out of that. It's more of just like that relationship. I keep that relationship with my clients as well. Ate. So you can still use that to me. You can still ask me, "Hey, and look at this. Is this
Yeah.
actually worth it?" Then I may be able to kind of like do some research. At the end of the day, like flood zones and everything, it's a public knowledge. You can search that in the Auckland Council. So if you're looking into like an investment and you would want in the future build another house in there, you wouldn't want to buy a flood zone, flood prone area.
Yeah, I remember the last time I texted you about the particular house, but we didn't go ahead because I was still having a second thought. Plus, when I found out how much repayment we'll be giving,
Uh,
decide for now. Maybe next year again. Anyway, thank you so much for that first tip. Consumer protection in New Zealand real estate. It's best to know what to ask as well, eh? And
mm,
sure, I mean, the New Zealand real estate is pretty much protecting the consumer,
yes.
but then the agents are for the vendor. But then,
Yes.
sounds interesting
Pretty
though. Let's
like
move on.
they
Yeah.
at the end of the day, technically, at the end of the day, Ate, both of them are consumers. So vendor is also a consumer because at the end of the day, they're receiving your service. So
Okay.
technically, they're both consumers. It is more of just like trying to find that balance of that this agent. Sometimes if you go straight to vendors agent, you don't know. Like you have that feeling that, oh, but this person is working for the vendor. But there are a lot of good agents in there that even though they're working for the vendors, they would just want to get the result and not just for, of course, because at the end of the day, as what I told you, Ate, I love taking care of my buyers because those are
Yeah.
future vendors.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. If you are into business or entrepreneurship, make sure you look after your clients, even if they're not actually your clients anymore. But who knows in the future?
Mm,
I've heard instances of building your business, but then your customer service is poor. Like, what
yeah.
kind of business are you going to have when you are dealing with customers is not good, whether they are clients or not? Just deal with them nicely. And I like the quote of New Zealand here: "Be a kind Kiwi." Yeah.
Yeah. And a tidy cute. They always
Yes,
would be a tidy
kind and
cute.
tidy kiwi, of course. Number two, we'll be talking about resolving disputes. Say, for example, oh, you've said this, but it's not actually on paper. You
Mm,
have to check that one. So, how do you manage disputing this one? Especially, I've heard in a friend of ours, when they bought the house, the agent later on said they're going to settle the gas provider, because now there are infinity gas, especially for the new builds, and the agents,
mm-hmm,
of course, it's not in the contract anymore. So it's like
mm-hmm.
after the negotiation, after the payment already, and then the agent said they're going to sort the gas bottle provider, etc., etc., but it didn't happen. Can you chase that agent or forget
To
about
be
it?
very fair, so this is kind of like extras at this. So us real estate agent, we usually go an extra mile for our clients, so if I promise you, say like me, I usually give gifts to my clients, and the thing with me, I'm too personal. I actually find out they didn't even realize it, but I found out their interest, and then suddenly they'll receive that gift,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's very personalized. But with extras ones, as long if it's not in the contract at it never happened. So
Mm,
pretty much your friend cannot run after the agent, because
mm,
um that's the reason why I would suggest, if you have a special request, you'd rather want to be involving your lawyer, because
mm,
once your lawyer communicated with the lawyer of the vendor, say, so like, let's say, I'm just giving you an example. I sold a house in Corin Ave here in Manurewa, and the request of the buyer is to tidy up the floor, because what happened was, on the photo it looks very very nice, which is very nice. That house is such a beautiful house,
yeah.
but when the buyers went there for third time inspection, of course, they see that, oh, I think that that floor needs to be replaced, because it looks like it's, because it's a wooden, like the laminated flooring, so it's kind
Yeah.
of like a bit lifting. um
Um,
and even though, like, I always tell them, don't just trust me, as I know you should trust me, but don't just trust me and say, if I tell you that, yeah, of course I'm gonna have that fixed, I'll definitely talk to the
yes.
vendors.
Yeah.
But don't just settle for that. I always tell my buyers to be like, okay, what are your special requests? Let's try if the vendor will be liking it, but let your lawyer communicate to the lawyer of the vendor and see what the vendor answers. So what happened was, the buyer, after that inspection, and then the building inspection, because sometimes some buyers are unreasonable, as long as it's a note in the building inspection. So if you're doing a building inspection and there is a note of your building inspector that this one is a little bit of an issue, so it's minor, but for a buyer it's going to be a factor for them to buy it, then you'd rather want to go straight to your lawyer and say, hey, Mr. Lawyer, let's say Miss Maricel is our lawyer, and then you just say that, Maricel, I really wanted that floor to be replaced. Nothing else. I don't have any problem with everything, but that floor has a little bit of a lift on it. So I want it to be replaced. Could you please tell the vendors that I would like I will go unconditional. So unconditional and settlement is different. So let's just say the 10 days unconditional. On the fifth day, you saw that after the building inspection, you wanted that replaced. Talk to your lawyer will now communicate with the lawyer of the vendor and say, my buyers or my clients requests that everything is all perfect except for that flooring that's been lifting. Would it be possible for it to be, to be replaced? After that, everything will go unconditional. And so
Mm,
it is now depending on the vendor. If the vendor say, yeah, sweet, I'll replace it, reply back. But some vendors, of course, they'll be like, nah, especially when we have vendors who are abroad. So I have vendors who are abroad. It's so hard for them to do quite of this extras one. But at the end of the day, majority of the times it's their real estate agent. Me, I was a vendor's agent. I was able to kind of communicate with the tradie to do it and stuff like that. So it's very, very complicated. And that's the reason why I always suggest to go through your lawyer, because
mm.
whatever happens out there, if it goes through the lawyer and it's all in writing, resolving disputes is very easy.
All right. So if you go unconditional and then you have special requests, then it will be
You cannot
complicated.
do, yes, you cannot go. So make sure that 10 days, let's just say you've requested for a 10-day conditional period. So upon acceptance of the offer, so once your contract is dated, then it means it's accepted by the vendor. You have a couple of days to really do your due diligence. So do a building inspection. I always tell my buyers, the quickest that you can have a building inspection, the better, because majority of the times building inspection is only like 2 or the second day, like let's just say it's an overnight and then the results will come up, and you have to I sit down with my buyers as well so that I can see what is the report, and then if there is something wrong in there, then you have that, say, 7 days remaining to be negotiating again with the vendor, because once it goes on the 10th day, everything has to go unconditional, unless by the 10th day your finance is not approved, or there's just a dispute in between. So better to resolve your disputes within that conditional period, because you
Mm.
cannot, it's going to be harder and more complicated if you try to resolve it once you've already unconditional and settled.
Yeah, because a lot of times you realize there are many things that you would like to dispute, but you've already settled. You've already paid for it. You've already moved in. So it's good to have,
Yes.
I say. But hey, if you're watching right now and you're you're in your first step of your home buying journey and you want to chat with us in person, it's like not live, feel free to contact
Yes.
us, Anne and Juvie, especially during this summer holiday. We'll probably have, but I'm just thinking, having one project, like a project where we're going to help one Filipino buyer, probably educate them all throughout. Because I'm pretty sure the way, however we help them, it will also help me personally. Like I will learn more about, especially chatting with you and even having this podcast. I'm learning a lot. And I feel like I
Yes.
want to watch all the videos that we've done and really
Before, yes.
thing, because sometimes I can only get a little bit of it and the rest will be forgotten. So I've got to visit the old videos we've done. So if you're new and you haven't seen the other videos yet, feel free to, that's why I put it in a folder so you can always go back and educate yourself, because it will save you a lot of money and a lot of time. Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
for that, Marianne. Resolving disputes. So, wala ka na talagang
Yeah.
hapon kung tapos na.
Yes, unless merong proof. So, let's just say you just overlooked it. So, meron palang proof throughout your conversation, throughout the
Yeah.
negotiation, that let's just say that that agent promised that, okay, if you go unconditional, before you go unconditional, I'll fix it for you, I'll put
Mm,
that gas in there, I'll settle everything for you. If it's all in the proof, then you can definitely, and this is what I always have to say. I know that a lot of real estate agent will hate this, but I'm so sorry, guys. But buyers should know that you've got the rights to complain, and there is a in-house complaints process of every agency. So like when I was with Barfoot and Thompson, I would, before I make my vendor sign a contract, of course I would explain to you the in-house complaints procedure. If in any case that branch, even in Ray White as well, we have that in-house complaints procedure. So if in any case that branch wasn't able to resolve your complaints, you can go straight to REA, so real estate's authority.
mm.
You can go
Personal
straight.
question. A personal question to you, but feel free to not to answer it if you don't want to. Have you ever received a complaint as a real estate agent?
Nothing. No,
No, thank
I've
you.
only been I've only been in real estate for 3 years, so it's
That's
not
still long.
that long. it,
That's
it's not
still
that
long. My
long
goodness.
comparing to all my colleagues who I actually really adore and I look up to, my favorites, you know. But majority of that, no matter how good you are, I've got, you know, the good agents, the friends that I have, no matter how good you are, there will always be a complaint.
Mm,
Because majority of the times it's I'm not trying to save my friends, my colleagues in the industry, but majority of the times, this is what I always tell my clients and my buyers as well. If your clients and your buyer are not educated enough with the whole process, they have those kind of thinking that, oh, I can actually complain. So
mm,
unless your proof is very solid that your agent did something to actually mislead you,
yeah,
or
intentionally
yeah.
mislead. Mm,
Yes, yes. So unless it's like that, then that's very, very bad. But majority of the times, like my colleagues who have been in the industry for 20 long years or more than even 20 years, they've had complaints, and it's all those minors. And the thing is, like, they always win, because at the end of the day, it just looks silly on the consumer because they didn't really understand the whole process. And that's the
mm,
reason why it's better for the consumers to be also very educated, aside from of course protecting yourself that the agent won't take advantage of you, but
yeah,
you won't look silly as well when you try to,
yeah.
you know, try to run after chase them with, you don't even have proof.
Yeah, fair enough. So that's good. Moving on to the third one, let's talk about understanding contracts. Oh, and dami, there are so many words that I actually just skim or scan through. And, it's going to be a long talk with the real estate to really read each sections of it. Pero, how do we learn or understand this better in a fast way? Because we're
Well, to be very honest, ate, the longest sitting down of me with a vendor when I signed a contract was 4 hours. Because I actually really talk a lot and I explain everything, every clauses. If you've got any question, ask me, I'll answer. There's no
wow.
faster way unless your client is already, I don't know, a seasoned investor who really knows their rights and who
Yeah.
really knows the ins and outs of the contract. I would rather spend as much time with the buyer to understand the full contract so they know what they're getting into. It's as what I said earlier, it's not a dollar or $2 purchase. It's millions of dollars and hundreds of dollars. So you would want to do specifically really understand sales and purchase agreement. And how many of that? I think that was oh my gosh, I forgot, but I know that there's 40 uh 30 page, oh no, 21 page
Oh,
for
geez.
sales and purchase agreement, and you have to initial that every page. It means that you understand and you agree on every clause in every page.
So would it be better if we will just tap the legal expert, read this for me and just make sure I'm on the safe side? Because
Yeah.
if you're busy, you don't have 4 hours to sit down and read and then wondering, what does this really mean? Especially with the high words that only legal experts can understand. What do you think?
Yes, I there are, well, majority of the clauses out there are very easy to understand. So I think the very few that really kind of questions, I'm not really, I haven't gone and looked into another sales and purchase agreement since I left the real estate. But I think a lot of people who has a lot of question was, of course, the breakdown of the commission and the payment, if that is a sales contract. So if you're signing your property to sell. But with sales and purchase agreement, I think majority of the times is for, chattels,
Mm,
your those kind of things. Those are the most important ones. You're, of course, the very first page, which will show how much you're wanting to offer, how much you're wanting to deposit, and those are the things. And I think understand, because this is the thing, like reading the fine prints at the is actually, it will benefit you. Like it will take you a little bit of time to understand it, but that's the job of your real estate as well, with the agent, to help you. But for me, the best advice from us at the Juvie is to ask a lawyer, and that's the reason why, engage a lawyer. If you think that you can't trust yourself to be, like, on signing a contract that you don't really understand, you'd rather just pay your
mm.
lawyer and just, at least you're protected.
Can probably approach Attorney Marisol again to have the oh,
The
uh,
breakdown.
breakdown of her fees from tapping her to read all the conditions or the sections in the contract. Because it takes time. And I'm just wondering, when I first moved to New Zealand, although English is kind of second language to us, we're quite familiar with it. But when I moved here, it sounds so foreign that if I was buying a house after 2 years of my stay here, I would be wondering, or I would probably get lost during the discussion with a real estate agent who's local. Probably if it's a
Yeah.
Filipino, then I'd be able to make a connection and understand the accent. But if it's
Yeah.
gonna be local, geez, I might get lost. I might get fooled straight away. And that's why when I want to talk to a mortgage broker or a real estate
Mm,
agent, I usually have my husband with me as well because he can pick up some of the things that the other one would be saying. So many
Yes.
discussions. And sometimes I get fixated to one word, say, for example, and it can take me like 15 minutes to get back on our discussion when in fact, the third party is already talking so many things and I get lost along the way. So it helps when I am sitting
That's
with
so
my.
true.
So what
That's so
about you?
true.
'Cause I know you've been looking for a house. Have you spoken to a real estate agent already with your husband or not yet?
Not yet, but I'm always in contact with my colleagues as well to kind of like look for a house that this is they know what I wanted. So they usually just like they will connect with me if like, hey Miriam, you think that you're gonna be interested with this one? And the thing is like it's I think actually, ate, to be very fair, a lot of Kiwis, they when I was studying, they were studying the course not to become a real estate agent, but to actually just understand. So
Oh, is
they
that
really
a course?
spend that time. Yes,
Yeah.
you can actually you can study that without being a real estate agent. Because at the end of the day, for you to become a real estate agent is if you sign to an agency.
But if you want to
But if
study
you're
more about it, especially if you want to become an investor, like myself, I want to become
yes.
an investor. That's why I'm having this for me to learn more. So, oh, that's a good idea.
It's very
And
good. I know that Miss Maricel, attorney Holger, Miss Maricel's husband, he
mm,
studied it, but he's not being a real estate agent, but he studied it. And so at least, if he, because I think they're also investors, and
yes.
the thing is, at least you understand everything and you know how's it, what's happening in the industry as well. So I think for me, I love having the knowledge at it because then that means at least if I buy my own house, I won't get fooled because I know the whole process.
Yeah, 100%. Something to think about. I've got so many things in my study. But if you want to build wealth through real estate, fair enough. I think taking this course and understanding more about real estate would be the best step to
Mm.
get yourself prepared. Nice. So that's pretty much it. Our three main discussions tonight, which
Uh,
are, yeah, do you
if
have anything
ate,
else?
if no, so if anyone, if our viewers tonight who wants to actually get to see their rights as well, you can go to settle.govt.nz.
Yes,
So
I've seen that.
settle.govt, it has all those basic ones. You can also search so that you know your rights against a real estate agent. Oh my gosh, I'm being mean. Against a real estate agent. You can see their code of conduct. So search for real estate New Zealand code of conduct. So you know that, hey, wait a minute, didn't are you not, like you're supposed to actually do this and this. So at least
Mm,
you know, and that an agent who is a cowboy agent wouldn't take advantage of you. But a
yeah.
lot of agents in there are very, very good, very smart, very honest as well. Make sure to do your own due diligence as well to who you want to work with. It's not just about buying the house, it's about also who you actually jive and you felt that this person is very genuine and very honest with me, then they can be transparent throughout the transaction.
Yeah. Well said. Because sometimes, like what you've mentioned a while ago, agents can also forget things, important things that they are meant to say because they have so many things in their head, so many
Mm,
clients to deal with, and many houses to sell, say, for example. So, if you have prior knowledge as to what to ask, then you'll also be helping
yes.
agent to explain to you better. Great.
Yes.
Great, great. Awesome. So I really hope this discussion of ours has greatly helped you. We have a few viewers here who just wants to view us. They don't want to, maybe they'll just message us when they need our help. But we're thankful that in our live podcast, our discussion can help you understand better, especially
Yes.
with our Filipino accent, which can help you understand more the discussion. If you're going to be watching the locals, they speak too much anyway, and with us it's a little bit slower. All right. So we've got the three main topics. Let me just recall that. Consumer protection for home buyers. We're very much protected here in New Zealand. One thing to be
Mm.
very thankful for. The second one was resolving disputes. So it's good to know everything should be in contract before you go unconditional.
Mm,
And
mm.
the third one
So
is
that's the
due
due
diligence.
diligence period at it. So that's why a lot of our lawyers, majority of the lawyers like Miss Maricel, she would want as much as possible at least 10 to 15 days, especially if the house is a little bit complicated.
Mm,
At least there's going to be enough time to do all the research as well. Sometimes some lawyers would also suggest to do a proper, instead of just building inspection, they would do valuation, they would do a lot of things to just make
mm.
sure that it is really worth it for you to be spending your money on that property.
Yeah, that's right. And the third one that we've just quickly discussed was understanding contracts. And it's
Yes.
to engage with lawyers. No, you have your how do we say it? A team, home buying team that surrounds you.
Mm.
At sa'yo ba, sino ang mga team mo if you don't
Well, of
want
course, I have connected with Sanjeev because he's been my colleague since I
oh,
started with Ray White. Although our plans kind of a little bit changed. So I actually have to text Sanjeev about that, but I've already told his assistant, his associate as well. At the end of the day, being as an agent, I know that you have to have a team of agents, mortgage broker, financial advisor, and the lawyer. I already have Miss Maricel. Of course, she's gonna be my lawyer if I buy a house, if I put an offer.
yeah, me too.
Sanjeev will be my broker. Yes, Sanjeev will be my broker, and I'm my own real estate. No, I'm my own.
You're your own real estate agent. Pwede ba yun? Is
Hindi
that
naman,
possible?
hindi. I'm
Ah,
not gonna get a commission, but at least I understand whatever the real estate agent
yeah,
will tell me.
yeah.
I'm like pretending that, oh, really? Because but I do understand. They
But
cannot fool me.
if you approach the seller straight away, would that be okay? Hindi ano.
No. So,
Mm.
real estate agents are protected with that. So, the thing is, again, to vendors, do not be cheeky to try to sell it privately to those people that actually got engaged by your vendor's agent, because your
Oh.
agent, you may be liable to pay double the commission, or oh no, so that's general agencies signing up to agencies, but you may be still liable to actually still pay the commission of your
Mm.
agents. So make
What
sure, that's
if
why you have to read the sales and the contract at it.
oh, okay,
It's
'pag
in the
nalagay.
contract.
Pero this is another question. If, say, for example, I put it out in the market through an agent, and then a friend of mine who knows about it, and I will deal with her privately, would that be okay? Or I'll,
You will have to make sure that it's not in the contract that you have. Um, if that person didn't really engage with the agent
yeah,
before they contacted you, if they have that kind of, if you have the proof at it that this person is actually your friend who suddenly
yeah.
wanted to put an offer, you can I'm not sure with the agency that you've engaged with, but some of them, they will try to still like, hey, they wouldn't
Mm.
have known if we didn't put it on the market.
So for the buyer, oh sorry, for the seller, it's also good if you put that on the conditions. Say for example, if
Yes.
somebody will approach me, a friend of mine or a friend of my friend, you know, th-
Mm.
they are not liable to pay or responsible to pay the agent anymore for the commission.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yes,
pwede.
because I think there was a dispute of something along the lines of the same thing as well, Ate, that the agent got to know that this person tried to connect straight to the vendor, and they got to know because of course the vendor said that this is my friend, and I think they are wanting to put an offer, and they communicated with me. But during that time, the house was already on the market for a couple of like maybe 4 weeks. So the agent were able to kind of like, you can't, because at the end of the day it's been 4 weeks. It means that they might have just, seen it just because of my marketing, so it is
Mm,
from my work. So they can kind of do that. But maybe that will be possible, Ate, before you sign a your
say
listing
yourself.
contract, your listing
Yeah.
agreement, to put that, like, can I actually put this on the note and request and sign for by my lawyer, and say
Mm,
that, if it's a family who approaches me,
yeah.
you are not liable for your commission. I will
Mm,
pay you, of course, the marketing that I owe
mm,
you, because that's supposed to be, that's your foundation for marketing. But at the end of the day, with commission, I can't if I sell it on my own. It's pretty much almost like a general listing anyway, because
mm,
general listing ate, it means that you can sign up with multiple agencies. So if you see some properties that is listed, like, how if you're browsing in Trade Me, you can see it's
yeah.
listed by Barfoot, it's listed by Ray White, it's listed by Remax, and
Oh,
there's a lot of
general
real.
listing.
Yeah, that's a general listing. So it's pretty much almost similar to that. So as long as you've got the proof that this person didn't really went through the agent. So, like, let's say your friend didn't text your agent and say, hey, can I
Mm,
view the property? So if they go straight to you, then you may be able to, if they complain, then you have the proof to show REA that, hey, this is my friend.
yeah. Okay. But to be in the safe side, always engage a legal expert, I reckon. So that's our suggestion, a recommendation to you guys. So at least you all have an idea already on how to deal with
Mhm.
real estate. We wish you not just a Merry Christmas, but find a good and honest real estate agent who will be genuinely concerned about your um,
Right.
welfare. Everyone's
Welfare.
welfare, just to be fair, of course.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's pretty much it. Oh, I like a discussion. Although we initially planned to have 20 to 30 minutes live podcast, but with your experiences especially, and knowledge, it can take us long. We didn't even get any
Comment.
any comment. Oh, we've got a comment here from Florence
Florence.
Almaya. Congratulations. Yes,
Why
for
did we buy us?
oh, probably for our 1 year live podcast already. And
Oh,
yeah,
true.
thanks so much,
Thank
Florence, for
you.
watching us. And hopefully, we'll meet you here. If you're already here, come and see us. If you're planning to buy, we'll be able to give you advices. Awesome. Any
Thank
last
you.
words? Almost 8 o'clock already.
Yes.
Uh,
Do you have any announcement, Ate, before we
events
close?
coming up. Filipino teachers Christmas party on Sunday. Yay! Ilang Christmas party na ba ito na held namin? And if you're a teacher here or not yet but planning, join us Cornwall Park this Sunday. Message me so I can add you in our group chat and you'll be able to get updated as to what time. Although it's initially 11 a.m. in the morning until maybe 2 p.m. And Kabayan
Mm.
Christmas party. Are you joining?
This is this Saturday, Ate, or no? Oh,
No, not
no.
this Saturday, December 15th. Not Saturday, Sunday.
But it's December. I may be able to. I have to check what day is our church's
Christmas party.
Christmas party as well.
Yeah.
Yes, Ate. But
Okay.
hopefully it doesn't coincide, because like today, this week as well, I have our company one and then our D group. It's gonna be like
Ang
bam
daming
bam bam
Christmas
bam.
party. Ang daming kainan. Thank you also, Chibong Milyare, for
Thank
watching
you.
from us. Ayan. So, ready na mga tiyan for maraming kainan this December, this Christmas season. Thanks so much, everyone. And we look forward to seeing you again next week for another meaty discussion about home buying tips in New Zealand. Everything about saving money, earning money, and spending your money for your investments.
Thanks, guys. Have a good
Have a good night,
evening.
everybody. Bye.